the state agency that oversees high school sports leaves it up to equipment manufacturers to make a decision about whether young players can wear padded helmet covers.
The NFL requires players to wear those Guardian caps during practice, but the head of the Louisiana High School Athletic Association says it's not fair to compare professionals to high school players. Tonight, Rob Krieger presses for answers in his investigation targeting safety.
It starts with each play.
Under the lights, on a crisp fall evening, the Willow Lions prepare for one of their biggest rivalries.
We out here to hunt. You're either the predator or the prey.
Taking on the Benjamin Franklin Falcons. For Jake Guichet, the Lions quarterback, this matchup is about more than bragging rights.
I mean, it feels great just to be out here with my guys, really just like having fun, one last ride.
Though Guichet may have a few more rides in him, already receiving offers to play in college.
I'm very excited. I know like my parents are thrilled about him.
The high school senior has a keen awareness. The same risk that's unfolding a potential future in the game could also crumble his prospects. It's why he's willing to wear a Guardian cap, a soft cover that goes over the helmet.
Any little thing can help in this game for sure.
Already in the NFL, Guardian caps are mandatory for nearly every player in practice, and some even wear the cap branded with logos on the field during games. It's a device the NFL's chief medical officer, Dr. Alan Sills, calls an unqualified success, claiming during a media briefing that the caps have driven a significant reduction of concussions in practices, approximately 50% over the last two preseasons.
For them to see the value in it and be willing to share that has been huge for us. That's a huge stamp of validation.
Erin Hansen is the CEO of Guardian Sports. In 2010, she and her husband released the Guardian cap, initially in a bid to provide additional protection to the youngest players.
You know, the average high school lineman can take up to 1,000 hits to the head in a 3-month season.
Hansen says Guardian cap isn't a total solution to concussions. However, she believes it can reduce the toll of repetitive hits.
We believe that the beauty of a Guardian cap, you know, everyone wants to talk about that one big hit, that one big concussion. It's not that. It's the accumulation of all of those non-concussive hits over a player's career.
That's exactly why Coach J.J. Smith, head coach of the Lions, was thrilled when his team received a gift of 70 Guardian caps.
Just another layer of security. Seems like it doesn't hurt, you know, just to lessen the impact.
But according to the LHSAA, the organization that regulates high school sports in Louisiana, Willow's extra layer is only okay to wear if the manufacturer of their helmets approves the device.
We told them by rule, meaning by the recommendation from the NFHS, to contact their vendor. And if the vendor says what? No, we're not going to take responsibility or liability for them. You're on your own to use them.
In a phone call with Eddie Bonine, the executive director of the LHSAA, he explains his organization is simply following the National Federation of State High School Associations, or NFHS's guidelines. However, a letter the NFHS Rules Review Committee chair sent to the makers of Guardian caps tells a different story. The letter reads, "The permissive use of the Guardian cap product is not a violation of NFHS football rules."
The NFHS, the National Federation of High School Sports, takes a neutral stance. You know, they take a neutral stance and permit it for games and practices. So does Pop Warner. So does the NCAA.
So use them. We're just saying check with the vendor because of certification, because we don't pay for recertification for helmets. That's expensive cost.
But Rydell, the manufacturer of Willow's Speedflex helmets, won't approve Guardian caps. Bonine says because of that, if Willow uses the caps, it would prevent them from recertifying their helmets, which has to happen every 2 years. That would mean the school would have to purchase all new helmets every other year. Guardian Sports says any claims their product could impede recertification are false, offering documentation it says proves helmet makers cannot decertify a helmet nor void the helmet's warranty.
When you prioritize corporate interests over player safety, it's a bad place to be.
Hansen thinks the LHSAA is punting a decision on Guardian caps to helmet makers, despite evidence the devices won't impede helmet safety.
We've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in testing. We've proved that we don't cause helmets to fail the certification for which they, the standard for which they were certified. We've done everything we can do on our end, but ultimately the governing bodies, because of liability interests, defer to those manufacturers.
She points to the NFL, where players wear the caps on the field this season, but Bonine argues comparing these players to children isn't the same.
You're not comparing apples to apples to apples. Number one, professional football is a professional sport, and those athletes are being paid millions of dollars, and the NFL owners are protecting their investment in their player personnel, number one.
The high school kids still have futures, and that's an investment worth protecting. Would you agree with that?
I completely agree, dude, but I'm not going to sit here in this chair and decide on that unilaterally.
Bonine says in order to make any changes to state rules, a high school principal would need to request the change, and only then could it be considered during the organization's annual commission in January.
They're deferring and they're allowing corporate interests to control the narrative, and I don't think that should be their number one priority.
Bonine says while he's seen the Guardian caps on NFL fields, despite running the organization many parents rely on to regulate their players' safety, he doesn't know much about the product.
How it's made, what they do, how they think it does. I've heard this argument. This is my 19th year as executive director, and they've had apparatuses like this for 12, 13 years. Some people don't like them because there's no friction. You can't glance and blow off a helmet. Those things stick to one another. I don't know what the fabric is. I've never held one in my hand. I have no idea. I just know they make the helmet look bigger.
Before the start of the 2024 season, The Athletic polled more than 100 NFL players on a variety of topics. NFL senior writer Larry Holder explains this season Guardian caps got a starting spot in the discussion.
The one thing that I took away from the survey is they're not denying the safety element. They know it's safer, and there's a reason why the NFL said, hey, training camp, we're going to have every player outside of quarterback, kicker, and punter wear these Guardian caps.
Why would the NFL make it mandatory to wear them in practice, but not mandatory to wear at the game if they're that important?
Bonine says despite the LHSAA's guidelines, players can still choose to wear the caps. But he claims in the Lions case, it means their helmets will no longer meet the safety standards for certification.
They can wear them anytime they want to. Again, check with your vendor. Your vendor says absolutely not. If you use that Guardian cap on that helmet, then your certification on that helmet is invalid. Okay?
Does that make sense to you?
What makes sense to me?
Does that make sense to you that the piece of fabric would invalidate the hard shell helmet's certification?
I have no opinion on that.
It goes against exactly what the NFL is trying to tout. Please wear it in a game if you feel like you want to, because we want you to feel as safe as possible. And these are grown men who can make their own decisions and are making millions and millions of dollars. We're talking about teenagers who, if you want to protect them, why wouldn't you allow them to be protected?
Coach Smith hopes policymakers will embrace devices like Guardian caps, noting the strides the sport has made in protective equipment over the last century.
So the game continues to evolve, and now some of the different options that they have, definitely are better than what we had when we came up.
Meanwhile, Guichet thinks blocking the extra padding simply doesn't make sense, and anything that might keep him passing to his friends on the field is worth the effort.
I can't really see any way that it could really hurt the players in any way. So it's great to look out and see everybody wearing them and knowing that they have that extra protection.
Rob Krieger reporting. Fox 8 reached out to the company that makes Willow's helmets, Rydell, twice for comment we didn't hear back. In September, the parent of Willow football player, one player, reached out to Rydell requesting a letter of compliance to allow the team to wear the caps over the Rydell helmets this season. Rydell did not provide that letter and responded in part, as of now, the helmet has only been approved the direct way we make them without them. We have the company's full response at fox8live.com.